I am. Okay. That a little tighter. Okay. Trying to get that to hold. It's not holding very well. There we go. So, CamDog83 here with you. I apologize for not being on a whole lot of late. Was getting a few things taken care of personally. I'm fine. Everything's fine. So, but yeah, just wanted to come on here and give a little update. And ready to hopefully start streaming again in earnest. Maybe not as often as I was before, but quite frequently. I have some ideas, some goals, some aspirations for what I want to do, and kind of had a change of my mindset just a little bit. Still, when I stream, I'm going to be streaming mostly sports games, talking about sports topics, that sort of thing. But what I plan, my big kick right now is I want to really hit the podcasting hard, and I've got some plans and some goals for that. I've got some ideas for what I want to do here with this stream. And by the way, before we continue, I'll mention you can go to nonamenerd.com. If you use my promo code CamDog83, you can get 10% off your order. We got all sorts of cool stuff. Customizable t-shirts, custom jerseys. You can customize anything. You want a mug with a logo on it? They're your people. You want to get a mask made with your logo on it? They're your people. You want hoodies, you want hats, you want wife beaters, whatever that is. You can get special designs for different t-shirts and other things. There's swag you can get, little bottle warmers or bottle coolers, whatever you want. The thing that goes on your drink. Custom hoodies, like I mentioned, armbands. They even have web services, domain hosting, online courses. Are you ready to take your streaming to the next level? Take one of their online courses at nonamenerd.com. They have graphic design services. You can get custom logos. All right there. And what I love about it, contact us. What does it say? It doesn't say company at company.com. It says Brian at nonamenerd.com. Brian's just he's a guy. So, give him some support. You'll help support my stream as well if you go to nonamenerd.com. Use my promo code CamDog83 at checkout and get 10% off of your order. And also, my podcast, Observations and Comments, is available wherever you get your podcasts. You can get it at Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Google Podcast, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Spotify, and more. Episode 5 is out, released January 29th. It's called GameStop Hammer Time. I've got some clever titles going on here. Wikimania, Dodgers win, election, I can't remember what the rest said. Supremes, vaccines, and viruses. And episode 1, an introduction. That's part of what I want to talk about tonight. I'll bring it back to the cam here. Alright. So, I mentioned the podcast. That's something I want to focus more on, is that. I also have been doing some audio editing on the side. Some of you may know the Critical Android on YouTube. He does great stuff. He does live video game streams. He does a Frasier podcast. He has a home improvement podcast that he did several years ago. That's excellent. Different like stuff like with horror stories and things like that. He's really good at what he does, and he reached out, not to me personally, but on one of his videos, He's like, I'm having trouble keeping up with stuff. Wish I could hire an editor to edit my stuff. And I was like, I'll do it, dude. Just name your price. I don't care. I'm not worried about the money. Um, and I told him what the general going rate is for editing work. And he said, well, I can't give you that. I would love to, but, how about this? And I said, deal. Just virtual handshake, no paperwork drawn up, nothing like that. Just, I'll pay you, you edit my stuff, I'll pay you this. And I'm not going to say what that amount is because that doesn't matter. But I've been editing his Fraser Analysis podcasts, and he's paid me for them, and I've done several. And he's even gracious, he'll occasionally throw some bonus money my way. And we're not talking like, where he's paying me several $1,000s on, and then, oh, here's a bonus as well. It is, a little bit here, a little bit there. And, it's been great. And he's been amazingly understanding with me having delays in getting some of the work to him of late. With some things that had gone on with my family that I had to tend to, and those have been tended to, and things are looking up. So, but he's anyway. I want to focus more on that. I love streaming, so I don't want to make it sound like I hate streaming. I've loved doing it. When we were first quarantined, and I was working from home, church was closed. Everything was shut down, right? So I was watching a kid during the day and then working at night. And then I would get off work at 11, having been home all day. It was the first time to myself, so I started streaming basically every night. And I did that for a long time, and it was great for a time. Then I was like, oh, I can't do this 6 nights a week and work and do everything else. Sometimes I was doing it 7 nights a week. So I cut it back to 3. And did that for a while, and then things happened, and I basically quit streaming for a good long while, and then I came back. I've done like 1 or 2 streams since then. I think this is my second, or this might be my third. Yeah, I've done 2 before this. This is my third. But I want to get back into streaming regularly, but it will not be quite as often as it has been. I want to focus on audio production stuff, editing other people's audio, editing my own audio. I've been working on music lately. That's a lot of what I've been working on. You see the guitar. I've been writing and recording songs. I have a little project I'm working on. I currently have, the rough. Some are more rough than others. Some are closer to being polished and done. But I've got 5 songs that I'm pretty confident in right now that I could release, make a little few changes here and there, and they'd be ready to go. So I'm very excited about that, and hope to continue that. So I want to focus on music, recording the podcast. I've got some ideas for that, and maybe expanding out, doing some more podcast work, other than observations and comments, doing additional podcast work. And I have plans for observations and comments, which I'll get to here in a moment. But I am at the point where I'll put it bluntly. I don't care if I succeed at streaming or not. I'm changing my mindset on that. I've been about, I need to try and get numbers, I need to get followers, I need to get viewers, because I need to reach, certain thresholds to start making money. I'm not worried about that anymore. If it happens, awesome. But believe me, I will take the money. I'm not greedy, but I will take the money. If I get offered money to do this, I will take it. There's no question. But that's not my main focus. You know, that's not what I'm solely focusing on. I want to do this for fun. And whether I have no viewers or 20,000 viewers, and oh, I got some chatters. I apologize. I did not see you guys. Wolf is here. Is it still screaming? Buffering? Screaming. I read stream and buffer, and I combined it into one. But I apologize. I forgot to pull the chat back up. That was my fault. See, I'm rusty. Podcast time is coming, Luke. Wolf. Sorry. Yes. Podcast time is coming. And I know you have some limitations at the moment with that, so... But yeah, here's what I want to do. And I've been tooling with these ideas. Hola, Juan. And Nick, hello as well. Farzine in the house. Thank you. Yes, I will repeat the last 1 minute. So, I gave a brief history how coronavirus happened, and like my work sent me home, and then school was canceled. So I was like always home, and it was like I would babysit during the day, and then I'd work at night. I would get off at 11. I'm like, I finally have some time to myself. And what I do, I would stream. And I was streaming basically every night. And Wolf, I know you remember those days. I was like, okay, it's Monday night, I'm streaming. Tuesday night, I'm streaming. And I think there was one night where I didn't, because I think I had like a church group or something. But otherwise, I was streaming, right? And then I was like, I got a few months down the road, things started opening up again. I started burning out just a little bit from streaming every night. And so I cut it back to about 2 to 3 times a week. And that was going well, and then some things happened personally, not with me personally, but in my personal sphere. And I had to quit streaming for a while and take care of that. Got that taken care of. Everything's looking up. We're good there. And since, January, I think this is like my 3rd stream of the year. Where, normally I was averaging about 3 streams a week, so I would be like, into like stream 19 or 20 if I were doing it regularly. And I want to get back to streaming again. It is something I want to do. But I mentioned that I'm kind of shifting my focus, not so much worried about the streaming and the trying to make money aspect of it, if I could put that out there. I don't really care if I make money at this. If it's offered to me... Oh, limitations. Yes. I'll get to that in a moment. I was just saying, and I'm not going to put your stuff out there, Wolf, but I know currently, as it currently stands based on information you gave me earlier today, that there are some limitations to starting the podcast that you and I had talked about. And, that those will, I assume, get better. I haven't heard otherwise, but that's something I want to get going, get that thing going. So I think, okay, your throat. Okay, so you do have a voice of some sort? Because you made it sound like you lost your voice completely. So I just wanted to be sure. Cool. You know what I forgot to grab before I started? Something to drink. So everyone just kind of hang out, chill for a moment. I'm going to throw it to the display, grab myself something to drink, and be right back. So give me one moment. Alright, I'm back here. I'm gonna pop a top here. Don't worry, it's not alcoholic. These things are awesome. Sparkling ice plus caffeine. You can get them at like Walmart, Hy-Vee, different places. I go online to walmart.com. I buy these things by the case. They're amazing. This one's blue raspberry. No, they did not pay me to say that. Alright, where am I at? I need to pull the chat back up. It's coming back, but you're on talking restrictions until Monday. Cool. So, I'm going to kind of talk a little bit about my plans, my goals for this. Well, it's just for this and how this ties in to my overall goals and plans for stuff like this, whether it's streaming or podcasting or music production, audio production, that kind of thing. Really getting the fire to the podcast. Taylor's dropping her 4th album in 22 months in April. Awesome. I have purposely not listened to any of her newer stuff. One, because I'm not a huge fan of her music. But two, I know, you know, I do have to. I promised that I would do some research and listen to some of her earlier stuff and try to get a different perspective on it, other than just it looking like she's whining about how her ex-boyfriend treated her wrong and all men are evil, and kind of the Reba McEntire vibe that she gave off, especially during her country phase. But old stuff redone with her adult voice, very interesting. But yeah, believe me, I'm fired up too, and I've got plans and goals for the other podcast I've been doing. Which, well, if I don't know if you've been listening to it or not. If not, get on it. It's available wherever you find your podcasts, observations, and comments. So, I do want to stream still, but I'm probably going to limit it to at most twice a week. What I'm going to do, I'm going to find a day that consistently works for me. Where it's not like, okay, this week I can do it this day, but I can't do it this day, this other week. No, so I'm going to find whatever it is. Find that day that I can consistently come on this date, this time, for however long it is, and stream. And it could be something like this. It could be me playing a video game. It could be me, talking about whatever news or sports or, different things. We could have movie nights. Sometimes we'll watch public domain movies. I tried an Amazon Prime Watch Party. That actually went pretty well. And I might dabble into those, but it's I'm going to do that and pick whatever day that is. And then, if there's just a random evening, maybe I'm off work and I just am like, you know what, I don't have anything going on. I'll go on the stream. And that would be my second stream if I were to do that. And that could be, if I woke up at 10 a.m. on a Wednesday morning and said, you know what, I want to try streaming for an hour or two. I don't have work till 2:30. I'll go on for a couple hours. I might do that. But for sure, a scheduled stream, I'm going to have one a week. And I haven't figured out yet what day that is or what time that is. So stay tuned for that. I'm on all different platforms. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, on YouTube. You can find me there as well. I can be found. So stay tuned for updates on that. Alrighty, so the next thing I want to talk about, so she can own the Masters. That's actually a pretty good If you think I'm waking up to mod, what I'm saying with like, if that were to strike me, the mood, I just wouldn't have a mod, or I might find additional mods that ones that not to replace you because you do an awesome job modding. I still am amazed. There's that one time that like some spam bot like flooded my stream, and I had suddenly had like literally like 50 messages from like 10 different users, and I was in the middle of talking. I'm just like, woof, we got a situation, and like within like 2 minutes, everything was cleaned up. He had blocked, banned everything. Like I was impressed. It was awesome, but just maybe have some backup mods is what I'm trying to say. So if you're not available to do it, I could just be like, hey Joe, whatever. Um, can you hop on, mod this stream for me? Um, you know, that's a goal of mine. That maybe have, so it's not all falling on your shoulders. I mean, it's at a point right now where it's pretty much manageable. Um, like if I needed to do it myself, I could. Um, and that's not to discount the work you do, Wolf. But um, I'm not. I don't have thousands of followers, and I'm not getting like messages like every 5 and 10 seconds. Um, so anyway, I got sidetracked. So gonna figure out whatever day that is. I want to focus more on the recording podcasts, uh, playing music. I have pretty much any free moment I have, which is not a whole lot of time. I mean, it's a decent amount of time each day that I have, a little bit of alone time. Um, that's what she said. But no, I've been spending, any moment I have where I'm not tied into or, dealing with some responsibility or focusing on something. I'm playing this thing, my guitar, and uh, recorded a handful of songs so far. I've got 5 that are either complete or really close to being complete. I got one I worked on earlier this week that all it needs is the percussion, and then it's ready. Um, and it's just guitar, percussion, and vocals. Um, and I've been trying to find some bass players that, people I know that play bass to like lay down some bass tracks. I don't have a bass guitar and they're expensive. If I had the dough, I would just get one and be the band, basically. But um, I don't, I can't just lay down 3 grand. Hey, now I got a bass. Because even like a decent acoustic bass is like insanely expensive. You can get a semi-decent guitar. I've never paid for a guitar in my life. This is the only one I've really owned, and it was given to me by my buddy Randy. Um, it's and it's not fancy. It's just a very basic acoustic guitar, Um, and he was like, "Do you want this thing?" I went over, hung out at his house one night. Shows you how long ago it was, 'cause I haven't seen Randy in like 4 years. Um, when I used to live and work in Kansas, it was a lot easier to go see him because he's in Mission, but um, or Shawnee Mission, not Mission. And he was just like, "Yeah, do you want this thing?" Like it. He's like, "I never play it, because Randy. He's the kind of guy that it looks like he's rich in some respects because he has like 20 to 30 thousand dollars worth of like guitars and pedals and amps just hanging out in his basement. I'm sure he's got insurance of some sort on it, but you think, wow, this dude's loaded. But no, I mean, he saves money. He'll, you know, get a paycheck or whatever, put a little bit of money aside, and he has slowly built up his instrument collection and his gear and racks and I mean, it is nice. Like he has basically a studio in his little basement area, and I've spent a ton of time with him down there. We've played, listened to music. We even recorded some stuff. Wolf, I know that you know this because you booked us. We even, you know, had a little side project thing that we had going for a while. It was called Ramrin, Randy and Cameron. But and we played a couple of gigs at the venue that you used to book. And but anyway, I got way off. I don't know how this started. Oh, yeah, I've been working on music. So I want to podcast more. I want to work on my music more. Um, and I want to focus on audio production. I mentioned, and I don't know if you caught this earlier, Wolf. I've been editing some audio for a YouTuber. His name is The Critical Android. And I've been editing some of his podcasts and have gotten a lot of enjoyment and fulfillment out of that. And I get a little bit of money on the side. So here's my overall goal. So I've been floating this around, and I've kind of stole this idea a little bit from there's a radio host in the Las Vegas area. The way I discovered him, so I'm going to kind of roll back the layers here a little bit. Way back, 14 years ago, I interned at Union Broadcasting, which for those of you not in the Kansas City area, it houses 2 radio stations, 97.3 and, 1510 and 810. But at one time, in the time that I interned there, and I even got some part-time work running soundboards after my internship. Actually, while my internship was going there for a little bit, I was interning during the week and getting paid nothing for it. But I was in college, and I was getting financial aid, and I was living in my parents' basement, really didn't have rent, so money was not an issue. Yeah, during the week I was interning for free, and then on Saturdays I would go in for $7 an hour, which is now below minimum wage, by the way. I would run soundboards and also set up remote broadcasts, get the equipment, go out to the location before the broadcast, get it set up, run the line, and it was all phone lines back then. Now I'm sure it's just, whoop, there's your internet cable, boom, and away we go. But this was still the technology where you were hooking up to basically a giant phone. It was this huge box. It was called a POTS. And one end of it would hook into the box, right? You had your phone line, and the other went to the telephone jack at whatever the location was. And in some cases, it was running a telephone line from inside a building out to whatever table was set up outside for that remote event. So anyway, the phone line would hook up to that, and then you would run whatever mixer that was there in your headsets and all that, set that up, and it would run into that device. That device would pick it up, send it over the telephone line. It would go through the wall to a line back at the station, where it was then picked up, and it would go through a network of circuits into a channel on the board, through the board, and out to the air, basically, right? So it would beam back to the studio via telephone line, and that's pretty much what remote broadcast sounded like back then. It sounded like you were talking on the phone. Um, which is why a lot of the time back then, most remote setups were not for, okay, we're going to do this show here on location, but it would be, the show would be back in the studio, right? The main show or whatever broadcast was going on. And then there would be like, Curtis Siebold, for example, would be say, okay, we're here at, you know, Applebee's on whatever, and we'll be here till such and such. We're giving out blah blah blah. That's what it was back then. Now you can like do entire broadcasts, and it all runs through the internet. It sounds like you're in the studio, other than hearing crowd noise in the background. So things have evolved and changed over the 14 years since I interned there. But anyway, so through that, I know a lot of those guys from the union days. I wouldn't say I talk to them a lot, but I've maintained, a good relationship with a lot of those guys. Guys like Todd Lebo, Danny Clinkscale, and Seren. And so, Seren, I saw one Wednesday evening that he said, "Oh, I'm going on this thing to talk with Steve Cofield about whatever." And so I watched it, and I enjoyed it. And so then the next week, I watched it again. And then after about, 2-3 weeks of this, I was like, I kind of like this Cofield guy that's hosting it. I'm vibing with him. Like, I enjoy the stuff he's doing. I think he does awesome work. And so I started watching every night because he does it Monday through Friday. And it's always at the same time, but it could be a different time each day of the week, if that makes sense. So, like Monday, well, he's actually stepped back a little bit. He has taken Mondays off, and he has pawned off his Monday night work to Adam Hill and John Von Tobel. And they do an excellent job with that as well. I tune in on that. But, it's like, okay, Tuesday, they're on 12:30 Central. And it goes to about 1:30, 2 o'clock. Then Wednesday, because Petro's on, and he's a Central Time Zone guy like me, the podcast starts at 11, and it goes to about 12:30, 1 o'clock, right? And then Thursday, they do, that's Law and Sporter. So that Justin has kids, and yes, he's a West Coast guy, but they do it earlier. They do it about 11 o'clock Central Time, and it goes to about 1, so that it's wrapped up by about 11:30, because he works during the day. He's a father. He wants to be off the air by a certain time, so they usually wrap it where it's about 10 o'clock, 10:30 their time, right? Because they're 2 hours behind us. And then Friday, when he does with Dave Koken, that's usually on about 12:30, goes to about 1:30, 2 o'clock. So I've been watching that a lot, and it's given me an idea not to do what he does necessarily, and obviously not to do it 5 nights a week either. But I've had this idea to maybe do like a daytime version of what he does. I know Farzine poked his head in here a little bit earlier. I don't know if he's still listening or watching. But, Farzine has done some stuff that I enjoyed listening to and watching, where he'll do like these giant Zoom meetings, and, he does some Chiefs-related stuff. And he'll get, like, he's had like Joe Valerio on Nestea Plunge. Anyone that's like under 25 will not get that reference. But anyway, I have an idea to kind of do some sort of a radio show and have it air. I don't know the frequency yet, to be honest, or even the time. But just an idea to like, okay, here's a list of topics that I want to go over and run down, and have some sort of a outlet to itch that radio bug that I have um, and possibly have guests on, that could zoom in or whatever, and we have like the two shot. Um, that's an idea I've been floating around, and I've been thinking a lot about it over the last like week or two. That's something I want to do, and that could be on here for all I know. But wherever I do it, um, I want to promote it, push it hard, get the word out, get some good guests on, and really, just push it hard, right? Um, so that's an idea for something I want to do. Regarding specifically my podcast that I currently have going on, observations and comments, I have toyed around with this idea for quite a while. It will still, I'll still have solo episodes where it's just me talking, but I have a really good friend of mine, and he and I go way back. I've known him about what 11 years now, 12 years, something like that. His name is Dave, but he goes by Boomer. His nickname is Boomer because his last name is Notabome. But grab a sipski. But anyway, like how I met Dave, and we like instantly like it was one of those where like we met and like we were instantly like buddies. Like we had been friends for years. It was like a kindred spirit thing. And that's like we've maintained that. Even though he several years ago he moved to down near like Austin, San Antonio area. It's a town called New Braunfels. It's kind of smack dab in the middle of Austin and San Antonio. If you go 30 minutes one direction, you're in Austin. 30 minutes the other way, you're in San Antonio, and New Braunfels is just kind of smack dab in the middle. I hope to go visit down there because I hear it's a really nice area. And I haven't seen him in several years, so it'd be cool to see him face to face again. Um, but he is like an avid listener of my podcast. He loves it. Um, but anyway, how we met, I was starting to tell that story and got sidetracked. So how I met Boomer, I was working for the Campus Ledger, the newspaper at the college I was at, which now the newspaper is gone, which I'm kind of sad about. But anybody with a brain could see that coming. Oh, the biweekly print publication went under. I wonder why. Might be the internet and everything else. So they still have a digital edition, but as far as the print paper and meeting a deadline, writing a story, those days are done. It's all online now. Kind of takes the fun out of it. But I'm an old guy. But anyway, I was sports editor for the campus paper, and the semester prior, I was actually a staff reporter that I would occasionally go cover like a basketball game or a baseball game. And so I was sports editor, and uh, I also had the idea to do webcasts of the games. Like I just set it up myself. The college wasn't doing it, so I was like, well, the college isn't doing it. I'm gonna do it, right? I'm gonna webcast, baseball games, basketball games, and I won't dive too deep into this, but I don't know if it stayed this way, but I tried to change the culture of the uh, sports coverage at the college because it was, going back to the paper. We had this biweekly publication. So, just to give a brief timeline, so the paper would come out on Thursday, right? It was every other Thursday. So, when we were working on a paper, the way it would work is we had to have everything in, ready to go for the print edition. First draft on Thursday, right? So it would be, or no, Wednesday rather, not Thursday. So we'd get an assignment on Monday. Usually the story budget would come out. We'd get an assignment, okay, and they would say, Cameron, you're gonna go cover this game, and it'll be at this such and such time. Sports was a little different. News, it was you had a hard deadline, but with sports it was a little bit more fluid because one, the main thing was covering sports, right? So they would pick a game on the schedule, and the deadline was obviously, you know, either that evening or the next day. So, um, but let's say, there had to be time though to like proofread it and make sure it was, the copy was right. Uh, the photographer, they would send a photographer as well, and he'd take his shots or whatever. He had to edit his photos. So we had our first editing phase. Stuff would come in that Wednesday, first edit phase. It would go back for revisions or rewrites. And then it was due again on Friday. And then Monday of the following week would be get any last minute edits before, it was officially submitted. And then by Tuesday, right, at that point, your story was either in or it wasn't. And if it wasn't in, they were finding something to fill that hole. And sometimes it was, just, oh, I didn't meet my deadlines. Other times, things would fall apart, But by Tuesday, it was now all the, articles were coming in. The text was coming in. It was going into this file. And then the design team had it, right? And Tuesday, they would spend all day Tuesday and into the night designing the paper, beginning to do the layout of the paper. Here's what's, and they were going in InDesign and doing their thing. And, that's where the paper started to lay out. So Tuesday, we'd do that. Then Tuesday evening, the sheets would go up on the wall. The little 8.5 by 11 papers would go up on the wall. And that was the copy edit phase. And I was actually copy editor for a while too. And that's where anybody, whether it was a staff reporter or a copy editor or the editor-in-chief or, the arts and entertainment editor or, anybody that was there that had a pen would go pour over that copy, right? And they would look for errors. And if they found it, oh, here's a misspelled word, they'd circle it. Then they put their initial, right? And so we had like this really cool system where like, okay, I'll look at this one, you guys look over here, we'll kind of meet to the middle, and then we would like swap over, and then there was like another wave. So we would look at the stuff they looked at, they would look at the stuff we looked at, and look for anything that was missed. And then they would look at those changes, right? That would happen Tuesday. And then they would work into Tuesday night. Then, you'd reach a point, whatever it was, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, okay, we got to stop for the day. And we'd all go home, right? And we'd come back the next day. They would continue the edits. So the sheets would come off, it would go to the design team, and they would find those errors and they would fix them. And then there would continue to be edits. And then they would post another round of sheets up on the wall there. And we'd go through another round of edits. And we'd find. And there were times where even after all these rounds of edits, mistakes still got in. I've got a funny story about that in a moment. But, so then by Wednesday night, okay, whatever, there was always a cutoff, and it was usually like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, like Okay, whatever is here is what it is. This is the paper. Because it had to go to a phase in their editing program where it's like, okay, now, basically we have to finalize it. And the best thing I can equate it to, I know in video editing there's something called a render phase. It's very similar to that. So it's like, okay, this is it. It's now all got to be like rendered and finalized and put in. So anyway, my point in saying all of that is they would cover games for a biweekly publication, and it's like by the time the thing got to print, that game happened like a week and a half ago, and I was just sitting there like, this doesn't make any sense. We have a website. So I was like, I decided, when the year I was sports editor, I was like, do you want to find out what happened during the game? Go to the website. That information is going to be on the website. We'll have people covering the games. We'll do write-ups about it. You can find all the information there. It's online. So that's where, we'd have the game write-ups, and there'd be like a basketball game or something. And you'd go to the website, and there it was, and you'd see, okay, we won 80 to 50 or whatever. But I'm like, if you want, to know special interest stories, kind of like behind the lines kind of stuff, player profiles and things of that nature, go to the paper. That's where that stuff should be. So that's what I did, and I had a pretty good system going. And then I think by the time I left, whoever took over, they reverted back to what it was, and I'm just like, why? It doesn't make any sense. So, got a couple of funny stories about that, and I'm going to get back to my main point that I wondered from. So, there were a couple of times where it got really funny. So this was before I was sports editor. I was still a staff reporter, and my sports editor, Steve Montemayor, good guy. He's now in Minneapolis area. He said, when I was going to get my assignments, he said, there's this baseball game coming up on whatever day it was, and I want you to go cover it for the paper. So we get there. I get there to the field, and of course our team is there. They're warming up, and I'm looking. I'm like, okay, like usually there's like an opponent, right? Like, what's going on here? And so I found the coach, Coach Shelley, who's still there. And I was like, Coach, I was sent here to cover the game. What's up? And he said, oh, yeah, he called everybody big time. He said, yeah, big time. Their bus broke down, some college in Iowa. It was like they had a bus break down. They got stranded on the side of the road. They're not going to make it. And it was an exhibition game anyway, and so it was like, yeah, they can't make it. They apologize. So I was like, well, I've got to write a 1,000-word story about something, and I was supposed to cover this game. So let me check. I was like, let me check with my sports editor. I think what I'll do, we're gonna switch this maybe not to like a baseball. How's the team doing? And just kind of, grab a couple guys. I know you guys are, because he said, yeah, we kind of morphed it into a practice because we were all here anyway. So we just called an impromptu practice. And I was like, well, let me check, so I called Steve and I explained what's up, about the bus breaking down and like the opponent's not here. So I have no game to cover. And it was one of those where it's like, okay, it's early enough that we can still kind of work with it, but late enough that we need something there. So it actually turned out all right. I did a nice little write-up about the baseball team and where they were at that particular time as far as their win-loss record, how the team is doing. I got a lot of great interviews with players. Coach Shelley, that dude loves to talk, That guy, it's one of those, if you were to interview him for like a radio show, you could just be like, "Coach, how you doing?" Right? And then he would talk for like an hour. And then he'd say, "Well, Coach, thank you for coming on." He's one of those guys. So I made a pretty decent piece out of it, and Steve was happy about it, so it worked out. But so there was that. The other story I had. So I talked about the rounds of copy edits, and I promise I'll get back to the original where this all started. We had, and this was a pretty common practice, that because the photographer would not only take the photos, but they would also write the information, the caption information, right? And so they'd take a photo, and then they'd be like, "Joe Thomas sits in front of the cafeteria on Tuesday, May 4th, whatever it was." So it was very common practice that, and this didn't happen all the time, but it happened frequently, where they needed a caption, but they didn't have the information yet, or they didn't, it hadn't gelled yet what the caption was going to be. But they needed to know who was who, especially in a group photo. So, they would put like, okay, from left to right, Mahatma Gandhi, girl, or no, it'd be like Mahatma Gandhi, guy in back holding a can, Joe Smith, guy with baseball bat, whatever, just notes of what the photo was, who it was, who was in the photo, and how you could identify them. So that later, when the caption was put in, that, you could identify who's who, right? So one of our staff photographers had taken a photo, and it was for a multicultural club, right? So he had to come up with a caption. He didn't have one yet, and it was time for the sheets to go on the wall. So he put in, and it was like, Ashley Smith, white girl with glasses, Mark so-and-so, dude with striped shirt, right? And the very last one, it was like, whatever it was. She had an American-sounding name because she was born here. But, so it was like Kelly whatever, Asian girl with glasses, right? Nothing wrong with that. That's how to identify her, because she was the Asian girl that was in that shot, and she wore glasses. So, where the problem lies is we all saw that and thought, oh, he's still writing his caption, so, whatever. It went through the first round of edits. It went through the second round of edits. It went to print and never got updated. So it ended up going in the paper. Oh, I felt so bad. We got quite a bit of feedback when that happened. And I'm not mentioning the photographer's name, one, because it doesn't matter, and two, if he's watching, which I haven't talked to the dude in like 15 years, so I doubt, he's going to come after me, but it ran in the paper as it was, with the photographer's notes and not the caption. And so, and this was like a front page story too. I think it was either front page or like right inside the so it was like, it was right there, like you could not miss it. And somehow it went through all the rounds of edits and got into the paper. And we felt so bad about that. But anyway, that's a funny story. And I could talk those stories all night, but I started this by saying, so I was covering games for the student media, and Boomer was the public address announcer for the basketball games, and he did it for the baseball games as well. So I would like sit with him, hang out with him, and we've got a ton of stories that we could go over. Um, so he, and again, I'm still, I'll host it. I'll host the podcast myself most of the time, but he is going to come on periodically, and we haven't set a schedule yet, but uh, he's going to be like my guest co-host from time to time, and we're actually in the beginning planning stages of from when we do my next episode of that he's going to be involved with that. So I'm looking forward to that. And it's the stories we've got. Oh man, like I could bring Boomer on, and we could just swap stories back and forth about things that happened back then, and because we were both single guys back then. He's still single, but I mean, I'm not married yet, but it's I'm sure it's coming. But yeah, but it is, and it's not like anything dirty or raunchy or anything like that, but just definitely one that I can tell right now. We used to have this um, deal where we would say stupid stuff to each other. Like we would, instead of actually going and talking to women, because a lot of it was that Boomer liked to drink, have the adult beverage. And so I didn't, so I would go, get my Coke or whatever and just be the designated driver, right? And there were quite a few times, there'd be like a pretty girl at the bar, a couple pretty girls at the bar, and instead of talking to them, we would like this one time. I'm gonna try to relate it the best way I can. Um, we were so Boomer and I got there. We went at this bar and grill. It was they served food there, but the food was not their main attraction, right? People go there to get beverages, and but we went there. We had watched the Cubs play at his apartment, and then we were both getting kind of hungry. He's like, why don't we go? And I was like, yeah, I'll do that. So we went and sat up at the bar and ordered burger or whatever. Um, and he's popping a couple beverages back, and I was sipping on my Coke, and uh, these like two knockout like tens, right? Just come in and sit down at the bar. They're clearly alone, like, and probably just begging for some guys to talk to them. But anyway, they sit down and they're like on the other side of the bar, and this happens while Boomer and I were talking about Minnesota Twins pitchers. And how we got on that topic, I don't know. But we were like, how do they do it? Because they're a small market team just like the Royals, but somehow they find these guys that the Royals can't find, like these awesome pitchers, and sign them to these, like, really cheap contracts, and they go out and they win all the freaking time. And, guys like, whatever, and we just started naming off guys. And then we're like, oh, who was the guy? Yeah, he played. He's not a Twin now, but he's us. Oh, what's his name? And anyway, Boomer and I just are looking at each other, and then Boomer looks at me and he's like, how dumb are we? There's these drop dead gorgeous girls sitting over there. We're sitting over here discussing Minnesota Twins pitchers. And we laughed, but we didn't do anything about it, of course. We just talked about it. But another thing we'd like to do a lot is if we saw somebody that was, clearly attractive, we would, instead of talking to them, we would talk to each other, and we'd say things like, if you play your cards wrong, you just might end up with me. So anyway, he's gonna join me, co-host with me. from time to time. Another thing I want to talk about, and I don't even know if anybody's still on, to be completely honest. I may be talking to myself. If so, that's fine. But the G League is back, and they have a deal where you can co-stream. So where like the game is broadcasting, and then you can broadcast along with it and provide commentary and analysis. I wanted to do that Wednesday. You're still here. Awesome. Wednesday, I wanted to do it because I was off work Wednesday. What it was one of those like, okay, you got some vacation time you need to use, or it's going to go bye-bye, so use it. I'm like, okay. So I didn't work Wednesday. And there was a game at like 2 o'clock that I was thinking about co-streaming and doing that. But schedule didn't work out, wasn't able to do it. So I'm like, well, maybe I could do it because there was one Saturday morning, 11 a.m. or 10 a.m. I was like, well, maybe I could do that one. Ended up there was a schedule conflict with that as well, so I wasn't able to do it. But I am going to find a day and a time that works where it has to be a game that's broadcasting to Twitch, because Twitch is a broadcast partner of the G League, along with ESPN and a couple other networks. I think Facebook Live, they still have some games going on Facebook. But for games that are broadcast on Twitch, there's the ability to co-stream those. And so you can broadcast the game and then provide your own analysis, play-by-play, whatever you want to do, right? That's something I definitely want to do. So I'm going to find a way to make it work, even if it's for one game that I find, okay, this is the point where it works on the schedule. I'll take off work if I have to. You know, if it's on a Wednesday night, right? Or whatever, I will take off work. I will do whatever it takes. I can put in, because I have some vacation time now, so I could put in and do that. So I'll look at the schedule, I'll get that figured out. So that's something I want to do as well. And then, finally, we'll get to our idea. We want to do a music-themed podcast. I've been running around with the idea of under the sleeve, you know, kind of the old days with the records. You know, you'd pull it out of the sleeve, or even the CDs, you know, would have the little sleeve thing, pull it out, or like inside the jacket or something like that, you know. Some kind of music-themed name for and what we're going to do, it's going to be basically a reaction podcast, a video podcast. I believe they call those vidcasts. And we'll discuss music. So, like, you know, Wolf wants to play me a bunch of Taylor Swift songs and get my reaction to them in real time. I've got some things that I want him to hear that the same. And I have not revealed those sources, but I'm sure if Wolf analyzed it enough, he might be able to figure out at least one of the artists. Man, that's good stuff. And that's what we want. We've been talking about this for a long time. At one point, we had a plan, an idea to involve a third person who is hard to get a hold of. And nothing against them. Like, your country spider sense. You've heard him. I'll put it that way. You've heard his music. It was somebody when we had the basement that I kept saying, man, I wish I could just have him come here, but I know the second they start playing that I'll be kicked out of the church, you'll be kicked out of the church, like, you know, I mean, you know, and it's not that it's, you know, where he's like singing, oh, the devil rocks and whatever, you know, but it's just, it's very, his music can be quite abrasive, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like I really enjoy it. I like it because it's real. Like I may not agree with his viewpoint on a lot of things, but he is singing from his heart. There is no doubt. And like he's popular enough, and I mean he's not like you know Johnny Cash popular, but he's got a pretty decent following, and he should be signed somewhere, but he is like working independently, and he just like refuses to sign a record deal and everything. He like records it himself, masters it himself. I mean, he has guys that do it, but it's all in house. Is what I'm saying. He handles the production, the getting it out. Like so, when a record gets released, when it goes to Spotify, when it goes to Apple Music, when it goes to whatever, he is doing that, right? He is releasing that himself. And he's built enough of a following by touring and going around the country that it pretty much, I mean, he's not like living in a mansion, sipping martinis and like, has 12,000 maids. I mean, he's scraping. He's definitely, he's living paycheck to paycheck, just like you and I. But he's got it to a point where it's able to sustain him, right? He has a wife. He has a son from a previous relationship. Um, his wife is like the nicest lady. Like I met her in person several years ago at a show. She is like really sweet, just down to earth. Um, and she's really mellowed him quite a bit. Like if you listen to his earlier music, it's like whoa, and then you listen to his stuff now. It's still got a bit of that abrasive to it, but it's definitely he's definitely mellowed with age, and I think she's uh, had a helping hand in that as well. But it's like he's supporting himself with the music, and he does other stuff too. Like he's an artist; he'll do drawings, like portraits and stuff. I'm purposely not revealing his name to see if Wolf might know who he is, but um, yeah, just a really cool dude. Like he's on my messenger. Like I'm friends with him on Facebook, and I've like sent him songs and said, "Can you have a listen to this?" I've even covered a couple of his tunes, and I'm like, I did this cover. I want you to hear it. And he'd listen to it, say, "That's great stuff, good job." Just a real cool dude. But anyway, um, I don't know where I was going with that. Oh, the music podcast. So yeah, that's in our plans as well. It's in my plans. Um, okay. I will say the name of his band is The Sinners. I don't know if that jogs your memory. Um, but it's his name, and The Sinners. If you don't have it, I will reveal it here in a second. Um, but yeah, he's a cool dude. Just real laid back, down to earth, like. But some of his songs, like he has one. It's called Cocaine, and my goodness, it is abrasive. And then he has another one called No Apologies. Um, but anyway, I want to do that too. I want to do the radio show of some sort. Gonna be podcasting with Boomer. Wolf and I got some stuff going on, so I've got music I want to work on with the guitar and doing that as well. And so I love streaming. Believe me, this is something I enjoy doing. I've really enjoyed doing this tonight. It's been very refreshing to get back on stream and talk and do that. Like so, it's something I still definitely want to do, and I will do. But I'm not going to do it nearly as frequently as I did before. And that could change. I mean, I may get to a point where it's like, okay, well, I've worked on all the songs that I can at the moment, and the radio show didn't quite come off the ground like I thought it would, and I've got to shut it down. And there may come a time when I do more of this. Um, but right now, and again, I don't know, like, if this were next week, right now I would be like, what the crap am I doing? I've got to be at church at like, I got to be up at like 6 a.m. because I serve. I'm not serving this week. Also, not going to church in person because the high, not the, this is where the low point of the day is. The high for tomorrow, just what I've heard, is -1, is what I've heard. And I don't know about you, but I'm not going out in that. No, that ain't happening. I can sit at home and pull up the church on the stream just fine. So that's what I'll be doing. And I don't know where I was going with that. There's other stuff I want to get into. I don't know how much of it I should divulge on here. I've got additional plans. Yes, the wind chill with wind gusts are expected to hit -15 to -30. No. I like cold weather, but like I'm good until about, when you start getting to the lower limits of the 20s. That's about my limit. I can kind of handle the teens, okay. But yeah, when you start getting into the negative and then wind chill on top of that, like when your baseline is negative and then you're adding additional cooling onto that, it's like no. I'll sit at home. I can pull it up on the TV and there it is. I'm debating about whether I want to talk about this next thing on air or not. It's financial related. I don't know if I want to divulge that or not. I mean, it's not like I'm revealing, anything like bank account numbers or anything like that. Love the clothes, this is ridiculous. Been living in compression socks, compression sleeves, a neck sleeve, and a weighted blanket. I think I'm okay saying it. I'll say this. I've got plans. I've already basically got the basic framework set up. All that it's waiting on is for me to fund it, literally. But I'm gonna set up a business for all of this, for the streaming, for the audio production stuff. I'd love to do some voiceover work. I would love to do that, and the streaming, all of that. Like I want it all that income come to one central spot and be a business. I've got it set up, and literally, I filled out all of the information. I've got it to the point where literally all I have to do is make a payment, submit, and then, it would take several weeks for that to process. So once I get that set up as an LLC, then I have a way to make money. So if and when the money starts coming in from these various ventures that I got going on, it can go to that. And then I can use that money to invest in more business practices. So, like new cameras, new computers, new, whatever. It may be stuff for the thing, for this entity. New studio equipment. A studio, maybe at some point. If I get to a point where it's like, this is big enough where I could open up, say, rent a building, a facility or something, set up a studio in there, And then, I could like rent out the space to people or whatever, sublet, um, that kind of thing. Or like when I say rent and sublet, I mean like where you pay for studio time, right? It would be something like that. So I've got literally it's all set up. It's gonna be called. Well, I actually I don't want to say the name of it, but it'll and it also will allow me, I think, and it's something I need to check on the legalities of it and everything. But I believe that also means I could solicit donations, not only of money, but say if I were to get in touch with a old radio station, and I have some contacts, I could do that and say, oh, I'm starting up this LLC. Was wondering if you had maybe some equipment you don't use that you'd like to donate. That way, they could donate the equipment, and then the LLC that I have set up, they could send them paperwork or whatever, where they get their tax write-off because they donated equipment, right? So it would open up those possibilities as well. So I'm really excited about that. I just need the fees. Basically, literally just pay the fees for it. And then, it goes to processing and it takes like 21 days. And then I'll have a business. I will have a legit 100%, like, it's a business with a name and everything, right? And if nothing else happens, I could literally say at that point that I own my own business. It may not be worth a dime, but I could say, yeah, that's mine. See that over there? That's mine. That's my business. Could call it Nunya. What's the name of your business? Nunya. um, but no, it's like that's the thing I'm most excited about right now is that getting it because I tried to do it several months ago and like I would go to do it and this app I'm going through this app and I'd get it set up, I'd put in all the info, and then it would say, I'd get to the last stage, 0 income. No, I'll tell you the name off air. Woof. I don't want to say it out loud yet because it's not official yet, for one, and so I don't want somebody taking that idea for the name and then registering it before I have a chance to, and then, yeah, that'd just be bad. Like, I don't think that would happen, but I'll let you know here in a little bit because I'm probably going to wrap up in the next, I don't know. I can probably go to about 1:30 and start the wind down process. But, yeah, I'm really excited about that. So it's going to kind of encompass... Oh, I started to say that, I would do that, fill it out, and then I get to the end and go submit, where the next step is then, to go to the payment screen. And they would say, oh, we don't support this type of business. I'm like, I just want to do it. Come on. And then finally this last time, well, I'll just try it. And I did, entered everything the same like I've always had. I went submit, and I'm like, holy crap, it went through. And I say, okay, we would accept this. Now you just need to pay, whatever that amount is. And at that point, I didn't have quite enough to cover that. Now I might be able to swing it, but I'm waiting because I want to make sure some other bills, actual bills, get taken care of first. But if there's any left over after that, then I will apply that toward that cause. So, I'm really excited about that. 0 Income Inc. Dunder Mifflin, limitless paper in a paperless world. Let me turn this heater off. I got a little ceramic heater back here because this room that I'm in, where I'm doing this from right now, outside wall, over here, outside wall, outside wall. No, that's not an outside wall. But it's connected to a room that's over there that is also along the outside wall. And so it gets very cold back here in the winter and really hot in the summer because the heating slash AC. When they did the ductwork for this place, it was stupid the way they did it. And so the heat doesn't quite get back here powerful enough in the winter, and the AC the same in the summer. So it gets really stinking hot, or yeah, really stinking hot here in the summer and in the winter. So it's like the rest of the place, like as soon as you step out that door, right, and go into the rest of the living area, it's like normal conditions, right? But then you get back here and it's like it's an ice freezer in the winter, and it's it's a pad truck. I used to work in a carpet warehouse in during the summers. The I'm looking at your chat message. I'll check it here in a minute. So during the summer, first there's no AC in the warehouse, right? So it'd get to like 80, 90 degrees back there, right? Real easy. And then we would have these like carpet trucks that would come, and they would deliver carpet. And then they had the pad trucks, that would deliver the carpet pad. And on days when it was like 90 degrees outside, you get inside that pad truck to go to unload it. Or sometimes we would load pad trucks. Rewind, skip, stream. Rewind, skip, stream. Oh, that's the name. I like that. I like that. I like it. So anyway, it'd be like, it's 90 degrees outside, and then you get into that carpet, or the pad truck, and it was, like, no doubt, it had to be like 150 in there. And, we'd start unloading, pulling off, just try to get this stuff off as fast as we can, because it is brutal, right? It's like the type of heat where, like, you take a drink of water, and it's like, it comes out your pores, and then it just, you're needing water again. Like, it's intense heat, so, it's not quite that bad back here in this room during the summer, but it kind of reminds me of that. But, so I invested, 30, $40, got this little ceramic heater, and it does the trick. I tell you what, it heats up this room. But it's also got a fan on it, so like during the summer, it almost becomes like an AC unit, because it's not like a normal fan, because it not only takes the air and like circulates it, but it has like this really, it's like a cooling effect. Like, it's not an air conditioner, but there's something about the ceramic element of it that makes it really cool, because I've used the fan function on it. But anyway, I turned it off because it was getting a little toasty. So rewind, skip, stream. I like it. I like that. I was talking the other day at where was that? Oh, it was at church. So I served last week at church, and we had a guest preacher come in. He did a really nice job. His name is escaping me now, but he was so. Just to give a little a brief background about him. He was serving at a church that we partner with, that we've helped church plant, that's out in California. It's called Revive. I think it's called Revive. No, it's called Grace Church. Revive is another church plant that former newspaper, actually, colleague of mine, is heading up the church plant of that, and it's called Revive. So, um, really cool. But anyway, it's called Grace Church, and it's out in California somewhere. And so they were like serving under that staff. He was like a deacon or something. I don't know. He was on staff there and felt the call to go plant a church. So a church that our church helped plant is now planting a church out in Milwaukee. And so they were sent a couple Sundays ago, because now it's technically Sunday. So yeah, their last Sunday at that church where they had been was 2 Sundays ago. And then they were on their way from California, where it's nice and sunny and warm, to where God called them to be, which is Milwaukee, to head up this new church plant. And uh, on the way, they were like, they set it up to where, well, just have them stop, about halfway in Kansas City and hang out for a couple days, and he can speak and talk about this new church that is planning. That's a plan of our plant, and and then he can continue on to Milwaukee with his wife and his kid. So cool, yeah. So anyway, he spoke this last Sunday, and I was running the sound for the broadcast. Um, making sure the mix was good, that sort of thing. Then it would go out over the air. And Mike Orda, that's his name, Mike Orda, gave this sermon and was talking, and he made a reference to CDs. So he was saying something, and he's like, yeah, I got the Mercy Me CD, and for those of you who are, younger than 20, a CD is a disc that music came on, and you would put it in. It would be etched on this digital disc, and it would go, and you would play it on your thing. He was making a joke, right? And so we're back in the control room, and I was joking with Kyle, who he runs the switcher. So I'd be switching scenes. And we were talking, so Kyle and I were talking, and Kyle is closer to my age. I think he's 32. I'm 38, right? So Will was on the computer. Will is 17. He, probably doesn't even know what a CD is. Actually, he probably does, because he's a smart kid. But he's 17, right? So he's a younger kid. So I referenced, because he said, man, CDs. Kyle said, man, CDs. I haven't played a CD in a long time. And then I was like, yeah, do you remember those old Discman players where, like, if you breathed wrong, it would, like, skip? And then Kyle just chuckled, It's like, yeah. Will's just looking at us like, you old guys, Yeah, you 30-somethings. I remember thinking that, too, when I was younger. But, yeah, so there was a reference to Discmans this past week at church. So, but only a handful of people knew about it because it was back in the control room. And so, what time we got? 1:16. No, but I like that name. I could work with that. Rewind, skip, stream. Rewind, skip, stream. Rewind, skip, stream. Yeah. It's like the more I say it out loud, the more I'm like it. I could foresee it kind of being hard to roll off the tongue, but I like it. We might tweak it just a little bit. Maybe do like, because I get what you're saying, because on the thing, it was always like rewind. Yeah, I get it. The order of the buttons. It might be easier to say if the S's were broken up a little bit, so you could do like skip, rewind, stream, skip, rewind, maybe, or something. It just Rewind, skip, stream. There's that stop there that it makes it kind of awkward. But anyway, we'll, we'll we'll look at that. I'm definitely receptive to that name. It just might need to work with it a little bit. But um yeah, I'm ready to do it though. Rewind for cassettes, skip for CDs, and stream for current media. Medua. Okay, so it's not the. Okay. Of course, yeah, there's no stream, but what am I thinking? Rewind, skip. So maybe another. Is there another term? That would work, still convey the same idea, but it kind of breaks up that sound. Really, what it is, it's the at the end of skip that makes it awkward. Rewind, skip, stream, skip, stream, skip, stream. That's starting to get a little easier to say. I don't know. I just picturing myself tomorrow, like all day long, just rewind, skip, stream, rewind, skip, stream. And Kim being like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "It would take too long to explain. Just I'm working on something." Just stand in front of the bathroom mirror. Tape, disc, stream. Tape, disc, stream. Stream. Reverse. Reverse. Stream, skip. Reverse, stream, skip. Reverse. And limit. Limit. Routes. Anyway. I might be getting to the point of the night where I start to get a little loopy because I'm tired, but I feel pretty good. Streaming killed the video star. Yeah, that's man. Yeah, or like tape, vinyl tape. No, it would start to get too long if you did like all the formats. Streaming killed the video star. Reverse, rewind, skip, stream. Rewind, skip, stream. Um. Chronicles of Square Circle Shapeless. Oh, the days of the buttons. The I'm you probably remember this too. Well, if we're roughly we're in a very similar age bracket, put it that way. Our age is just different enough to where like you graduated well before I did, but it's like when you get to this point, it's like when someone is like 24 and you're 18, that 6 year difference seems like. I'm not saying we're 6 years apart, but I'm just using that as an example. It's like, man, he's like so old, and I don't relate to him, and I was thinking, oh, he's a kid, whatever. But then it's like, you know, somebody's 41 and you're 35 or something. It's like the differences are still there, but like you can relate more. So that's kind of where we're at. But oh yeah, I was starting to tell a story. So I would, I'd have the cassette in the thing. I'd have the radio on, and it would, you had to hold down play and record at the same time, and you had the pause. And I would wait for a song that I wanted, to come on the radio, and you would hope that it was one of those where the DJ wouldn't decide to like say, "Oh, the county fair is coming up Tuesday, blah 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 blah. Get your tickets now. Now here's so and so." Um, so get a clean record, right, of it, and that's how you got your music. Like, oh, there's a song I really want to hear, and that's how you did it because there wasn't YouTube, there wasn't any of that. It was the radio, and that was, and then you would wait for the CD to come out. You had to go get the physical CD. There wasn't any of this pre-order and get it digitally, and there was none of that. And or it was on tape or it was on CD, right? And then tapes are now basically obsolete. Like I haven't had a tape player probably 5 or 6 years. And but anyway, I remember doing that. So it could maybe like I'm kind of thinking because I have like this TV, this old school TV here on my stream here. Like if we did it, like have like a boombox or something, but instead of like the tape deck, have like us or whatever, like side by side, and then um, I think that'd be pretty cool. But yeah. So I don't know when I'm gonna stream next. Looking at the calendar. It's my mom's birthday, by the way. Uh, she was born on Valentine's Day, as was her grandfather, and his middle name was Valentine. So that would make him my great grandfather, I guess. Um, Never met him. He was long gone. I mean, my mom was like 7 when he died, so if that gives you any idea. Um, but happy birthday to my mom. So the um, so it was what, early Sunday, the 14th. I serve next week. I'm gonna check my schedule. My preliminary thought is I could maybe do like either Monday would be too soon because I'm off Tuesday, so it would work that way. But maybe do a Friday night into Saturday because I gotta be up. By this time next week, I would need to be getting up to start getting ready for church in about 3.5, 4 hours. So I would probably not be here at that point. I'd already be in La La Land. But I'd say we'll shoot for Friday. I'm gonna try to work out my schedule with Boomer to get some stuff recorded for that podcast. So let's say, let me look at my calendar again. Okay, so Friday's the 19th. That's probably when I'll stream again. I want to do some podcast work. I could probably do it Tuesday during the day, assuming they don't cancel school. Although I gotta get with Boomer, so I could just plan to stream on Friday, and it could basically be kind of what we're doing now, just talking about the podcast, and maybe doing like a planning session, but just have it be a stream. I could see that, or maybe even if that by that point your voice is back where it needs to be. Maybe even testing out the Zoom functionality of being on Zoom while also streaming. And maybe, yeah, I could I could see that working out. And then beyond that, you know what? I'm gonna check something real quick. Not NBA 2. What am I saying? NBA G League. I'm gonna look at the G League schedule real quick. And I'll see when the next scheduled Twitch is, because I might just plan a stream around that. Okay, let's switch views here. So I got their schedule up. Okay. This is not showing the... oh, it is. It's down here. Okay. So ESPN Plus is also a partner. You can see, like, there's a... I think that's a local station, Channel 28, for one of the teams there. Let's see. Fox Sports Ohio. Wow. I'm looking to see if any of these say Twitch. Fort Wayne Team Stream. Fox Sports Southwest. NBA TV is broadcasting. That's cool. 98.7 FM. Or 99.7. Do none of these say Twitch? Oh, here we go. Twitch. Saturday the 20th, 11 a.m. Eastern. Might be able to make that work. So it'd be 10 o'clock if a game is like, what, 3 hours long at the most? Probably not even that. It's like 2.5. Could do that, be done, catch a quick nap, and then start work at 2:30. Iowa Wolves and the Fort Wayne Mad Ants. Keep that one in mind. Oh, what's this? Sunday the 21st. Ooh, a Sunday one. That won't work because I'll be serving. Let's see. By the way, I'll mention while I'm looking at the schedule, I do not have the chat pulled up, so these are the moments why I have a mod. So if you're posting anything in the chat, I'm not seeing it at the moment. Alright, I'm not going to scroll too much further. We got Saturday the 20th, or the 27th. Ooh, here's got a couple options here. That might be a day to see if I can get off work. And then could just do like a long stream, do the 11:30 a.m. Eastern, go right into the 3 o'clock Eastern, and just, yeah, that might work. Ooh, we got some options there too. Okay. Yeah. So I'll see about that. I'll see one if I can get the time off at work. If I can, I will kind of plan around pushing and promoting this here, doing like a double header. And I might even see, I'll check with my buddy Jamel. I know he's expressed interest in wanting to like do that with me when that opportunity presents itself. So we're going to look into that. So we got the Westchester Knicks and the Raptors 905. And then the Long Island Nets and the Santa Cruz Warriors. Looks like they're all in Orlando. That must be where the... oh, yeah, they got that bubble going on. I'm back in the chat, by the way. So, I like this idea better than whatever it was here on the 20th. Doing a game at 10 o'clock in the morning. Like, yeah, not so much. Not so much. So, kind of pool our resources. Also give us a little more time to get things in place. And because if I can have Mel and I, doing the game, that can give you some time, Wolf, to kind of plan to mod for that. Yeah, I'm liking that idea. So it is 1:33 in the morning. I'm gonna sign off, and we'll plan to be back here on Friday, and be looking out for any podcasts or anything else I may be doing. You can find me. I got a Facebook page, CamDog83. Find me on Twitter at CamDog83. I'm on YouTube. Just look for Cameron Fletcher. You can find me there. And this was fun. I needed this. I needed to not stream for a while and kind of get some things in place. But yeah, I didn't realize until I started doing this stream again tonight how much I actually missed it. So we'll be back Friday, probably around 11:30ish, maybe midnight, to get going. Then we'll plan from there. So we